we're living in a really exciting time right now in terms of being Filipino, being in the Philippines, and also just being a creative, right? So we've seen over the past couple of decades all of these new platforms emerge that just allow people to be more creative, and are kind of now in this place where we get to define what that next wave of creativity looks like, right? In terms of, and what we see in Kumu, what we believe in Kumu is creativity can also lead to a place that's positive and accepting and authentic, in a way that has been kind of lost in some of the past few years of the internet. And also importantly, where people can, it's not just a platform that grows and takes all of the returns, but also people can earn an income as a creator. We're excited, honored by this recognition, but more than anything, just excited for everything else that we can do over the next few years to get to that dream of a creative Filipino economy.
Yeah, we're super grateful for this recognition. I think the most important thing about this is not really about us per se, but about everyone, the entire community who has come together to make this possible. Hundreds of people working together with a hardcore base of thousands of people to entertain and build authentic connections during this difficult time for millions of people. And I just really grateful for this recognition, but at the same time, I think this is also a reminder that we're just getting started. We know that, okay, cool, we got to 0 to 1, and now I think it's time to go from 1 to 100. And it's going to take a lot of hard work, and we're super grateful for this opportunity. I think man at his best is when you are at your most mature, when you're able to have compassion and mental strength to take on the crazy amounts of information that come to you, and being able to process that in a way so that by the time you're able to make a thought and act on that thought and speak on that thought, it comes with a lot of deep thinking and a lot of understanding and maturity. Because if you don't, the type of actions we do may end up hurting others in unintentional ways, or may end up not having a benefit to those people. So I think it does take a lot of maturity. So I don't know, maybe maturity is man at his best.
Yeah, I think it was 2015, right? So me, at the time, I was working on this nonprofit called Kaya Collaborative that brought Filipinos back from abroad to work with tech startups, nonprofits, social enterprises in the Philippines. Roland at the time was in, several years deep into the digital advertising space in Los Angeles. I think it was 5-10 years before that, he'd sold a digital advertising kind of affiliate tracking startup in Silicon Valley, but had always come back to the Philippines from a personal and humanitarian capacity, and our paths crossed in, I think it was late 2015. I was building our kind of formal board of directors for the first time for my nonprofit. I found Roland's profile as somebody who was an entrepreneur who had experience growing things, but at the same time had a big heart for the Filipino community. I think he had a family foundation he was working on at the time that had the same broader vision of connecting the local and global Filipino community. And I just reached out, cold in mail, and then we got on a call and just clicked. And he joined our board of directors actually the first day I met him in person. And it was kind of the 2 years between that and Kumu was a lot of just exchanging ideas on how we can accomplish this mission at a broader scale than just a few Filipinos we're bringing back to the Philippines at a time.
Actually, so Rexy and I just used to always talk late at night, talking about these dreams of engaging the Filipino diaspora to engage in the Philippines. And, we come into a lot of these discussions where what would actually happen if we were able to do something beyond just nonprofit work and do a business. And one of our friends at the time, Tony, had founded a real-time communications platform that was having a huge impact globally. Now this company has 2 to 3 billion devices around the world, and he powers a lot of consumer internet businesses that use real-time communications all around the world. And so when talking to him and then talking to folks like, Dado Banatao, and also the Philippine ambassador to the US at the time, Jose Quisha, more and more we started seeing the importance of this new type of way of giving back, which is this technology ecosystem springing up in the Philippines. And this whole idea that maybe doing something in an enterprise where if you create a technology company in the Philippines and you create technology jobs in the Philippines, maybe that's the best way that we could give back to the Philippines rather, again, another clean water project or another poverty alleviation project in Tondo, that there's something happening in the Philippines and all over Southeast Asia through digital transformation, faster internet, payments, logistics, all that sorts of thing. And so I think when we started kind of crystallizing this whole idea and thinking about all those long conversations I've had with Rexy about having an impact, I just knew that if I was going to start this business, I wouldn't want to do it without folks like Rexy and some other folks. But for sure, I was like, I couldn't do this alone. And Rexy was one of the first people I thought of to really do this.
I think the dynamic works because we were super aligned on what we're trying to do in the long term. We're aligned in the kind of values and what we feel is important. And then in terms of the kind of strengths that we each have are things that kind of are interlocking, but where one just excels much in a way that can complement the other. So Roland, for example, is just amazing at telling the story, getting people excited to kind of join the mission. And then normally I kind of take over in the closing of an investor or a new team member or whatever it is, that just and that process becomes a lot easier because of how much Roland has created that buy-in and how much the person sees the potential future of Kumu because of the story that Roland tells. So I think it's kind of the complementary strengths anchored on the same vision and values, and also I think the trust, too, at the end of all of it.
I think it's the frank talk, right, Rexy? I mean, to a fault though, right? Like, I'll say it. I'll just say what's on my mind. But I've learned how to process more before it leaves my lips. That's something what I've learned. But I think what's been really great is with trust, you also need good communication. So I think that maybe when it comes to the core leadership team, we communicate very, very frankly with each other. And there's a genuine feeling of beyond the trust is we want to take care of each other too. So part of that trust is in our hearts, not only are we being good stewards of the business and taking care of our community, we also need to take care of the leadership of the company that is taking care of the community. So beyond that trust is that genuine sense of we're helping each other out too. It's really funny that you say that, because I actually have a kind of a weird definition of what achievement is, where there was a point in my life where I stopped getting validation from achievements in general, just because I think that there are other things that are like more important. Like, for example, the self-mastery of constantly chasing the best version of yourself, because here's the thing, you're always going to compare yourself to something. So if you're going to do that, you might as well compare yourself to the best version of yourself and chase that. There's something beautiful about having the maturity of understanding that I think just kind of beats everything, or for example, the other two core parts of my life, which is maintaining deep interpersonal relationships with my friends and family, to the point that it crystallized into this adventure called Kumu, where I'm working with my best friends. I mean, there's nothing can beat that. Like, more than Kumu, more than Kumu is the fact that we're able to build a community with my best friends and new best friends. And it's like, and I'm not over exaggerating, Rexy, right? Like these are like my best friends. There's nothing beats that. And then third is helping other people. You know, those are my 3 core values. And so thirdly, when you're helping other people, I would say that's the quote unquote achievement.
There's kind of these different strands in Kumu's DNA that we feel are gonna kind of just bloom into the future of what we look like 10 years from now, right? I think one piece of that is kind of Kumu, the technology company, and I think within the technology space, we're kind of building this new beacon for what a kind of positive and participatory social network can look like, and in a way that doesn't exist at scale, even like outside the Philippines at this point. And we're realizing that's more and more of a universal kind of gap and innate value that we've created. There's also the kind of within the context of the Philippines in particular, like Kumu, the like entertainment company, in the sense of like a Disney, in the sense of like how do we support our creators in making content that's exciting and that instills, like, it just promotes the imaginations of Filipino creatives at a local and then global level. I think there's a lot there that we can continue to and I think in a 10-year timeline can touch both the like platform level and, you know, things like movies and TV and comics and things like that we're seeing. There's a lot of creative energy in the Filipino community that we're in a prime position to be able to support. And I think at a higher level than kind of those 2 like points is just kind of Kumu as a company, where when you look at the great companies in the world, or like the large publicly listed companies, it's along with what they do is like at the core they're defined by like the what they stand for, right? And the kind of the culture and philosophy that they have. What we already see at Kumu now, which is really, you know, both from a platform and a team perspective, something that's built on kind of authenticity and love at the end of the day, right? It's people who are just very passionate, very creative, and also care a lot about each other and about the impact that we're making in the world. Is something that from what we're seeing, like, doesn't really exist in the same way in the DNA of any kind of large company that's leading the conversation globally. And so I think there's a, you know, I think that's one thing that motivates me is we have a kind of responsibility to the world of making making Kumu a company that's large and at scale while still retaining those values, because somebody needs to be championing those values at the kind of global business level. So there's just a few things in here. There's a lot more that keep us excited.